is Keyed In with Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. And now, here are your hosts, Max Rabin and Brent Jackson.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Keyed In podcast. I'm Max Rabin.
And I am Brent Jackson.
Brent, today we have a repeat guest on. He was one of our first guests when we first started doing this back in the day before we were here in this nice studio. We have Daniel Heider. Heider is the number... Okay, just go ahead. Are you like the number one team in DC for sure, yes?
Number one team in DC from a sales volume perspective?
Yes.
As reported by the Wall Street Journal, that would be correct.
Yeah, there we go.
In a small,
kind of reliable.
in the small team category. So we have 4 sales advisors. So
Okay.
That's a distinguishing point.
Another distinguishing point is you're the number one followed real estate team in the world across all social media platforms. Over 3.8 million followers on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
But you're like a trailblazer on TikTok.
Yeah.
Can you just we'll get to our other main questions first. And you wanted to kind of reverse roles here and do like
he's taking control of the show. He wants to go straight to rapid fire.
Yeah.
You know what? I just feel like why not get to know each other a little bit, right? Why not get to talk
Absolutely.
about some quick things that are on our minds?
Well, okay, let's do that. Let's go ahead.
We're gonna go
did you want to
straight to
rapid fire
rapid fire.
us, or do you want like?
Oh, I'm going to be asking questions back, don't you?
All right.
Okay.
All right, Brent, go
It's
ahead.
gonna be an interactive.
Interactive. Here we go. First question. We've seen recently on your social media that you're now dating Trevor. Where was your first date?
Oh, our first date was at the coffee bar in Shaw,
Okay.
and
So modest.
yeah, at
so
the coffee.
nice.
Well, you know, I enjoy a good cup of coffee, as does Trevor. So it was in the middle of the afternoon. I think it was like a weekday, and I was unbelievably nervous. And I ordered an Americano, which he thought was very fancy of me to order because he just ordered a regular drip coffee. And yeah, it was a coffee bar.
Coffee
Well,
bar.
the reason we bring that up is because, your social media, we all follow your social media. You're very active on social media, obviously, as we just said. And so now Trevor's making a lot of appearances there, which means you must really like him.
I do. I'll tell you, I've been really careful about highlighting sort of my personal life for a while. As you know, my business has really dominated my entire life for the past 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I found a really special guy, and I'm comfortable enough to now kind of share that.
Love it.
And it feels good.
It's great.
Next question here. We saw recently you went to Las Vegas. What is your favorite Adele song?
Ooh, I like really emotive songs. I like Turning Tables. I think that was my favorite album that she did, 21. And Adele is just a very real person. The way that she connects with an audience of thousands of people. I mean, and it's genuine, and you can feel it. It's interesting. Similar to our business, right? When you're dealing with a transactional broker and you feel that they're almost a mercenary for the money, you can feel that just as much as you can feel someone's passion when they actually really like what they do and they like people and they like presentation and, it's clearly what they're meant to do. That's what I feel from Adele, who's also a Taurus, by the way, which I'm a Taurus. Are you woo-woo about like
Astrology?
Astrology?
No.
What's your sign?
Pisces,
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Sensitive. I like that, Brent.
I guess. I've been told opposite, though.
No, that's good. That's good. And what about you?
Pisces.
Really? Both
Yeah.
of you?
Yeah. How about that?
I love that. Well, this is going to be a good conversation because I'm bringing the earth to the water sign.
Right. If I start crying, just let me know.
Well, if I play Turning Tables for you, you all just might.
But I like what you said about Adele and like when you're watching someone and you see someone, that's what they're meant to do. Because when you think about someone like Adele or like a Taylor Swift even, like they're so successful and they have more money than anyone would ever know what to do with. But they're out there still doing it, putting the energy out there all the time. And it's like, why else would it's like something they feel? It's like their passion. It's who they are.
Well, you know what, and if the story of those two specific people, Taylor Swift is always highlighted in social media for having grown up in an upper middle class family in a beautiful home, and Adele on the opposite end of the spectrum, came from humble beginnings. I don't think that she began belting and pouring her heart and soul into her music because she wanted to make a couple of bucks. It's just what her calling was. And I think that that's what's the liberating thing for artists that really do such a great job, is that they're not intently focused on the money. The money is a byproduct that just comes with being the best in the world at something. And so you see these examples of people who have risen to the very, very top of the pyramid, not because I think they're money hungry, but they're focused on being the best in class at whatever they do.
Well, that's similar to you, because I mean you're very successful at a young age. You've obviously you're doing this every day. You're out there garnering all this new business and on very high level. But it's safe to say that you've already made quite a bit of money in this business. Yeah. So, but you're not slowing down. There's no slowing down. You're still building. I don't know what the end goal is. Maybe you don't know. Yeah. But it's like there's a passion here, right?
Yeah. No, there's a real passion here, and I'm not. Look, I enjoy having the means to experience life in a way that keeps my inspiration level high, that keeps the people around me inspired to keep pushing. We work 7 days a week, and you may see, a couple second snippet on my personal Instagram reel of traveling here or going there, but those are indeed just the highlight reel, right? Those are just the couple of seconds that you see. What you don't see are the unbelievable conference calls that are happening literally all day long. You don't see the Zooms. You don't see the detailed, narrative emails that are being tapped out between all of those things, the showings, the racing back and forth, the narrative being controlled, the approvals on the marketing. I mean, all of the sausage making behind the scenes. That has not ever been really glamorous to project in our society, unfortunately, because I think a lot of people want the spoils of life. But once they find out exactly what it takes to make that happen,
it's not as sexy.
No, it's not. It's not. But, I think that we as an industry need to start talking about that sausage making a little bit more, because maybe we'll get a little bit more respect than some folks who are portrayed on TV as, going to Cipriani, drinking a martini in the middle of the afternoon saying, oh, he'll take $6 million, he'll take $8 million.
Yeah, right.
It's just not how it's done, and I have been very fortunate, to make a great living, but money is not the motivator for me. Freedom is. Freedom to have the best people on my team. Freedom to provide the best service in a way that satisfies me. Freedom to have my own freestanding office and my own space, and freedom to make decisions that help my clients and help my team, stay visible and stay, successful, right?
So you're here with us today. You've got an hour. You're a very busy person, tons of transactions, but you don't have an entourage with you. Your phone's not out. So do you have like a second me or a shadow that's kind of managing the calls that are coming in, the emails, the text messages?
Yeah, I have 3 people. So, it is a 24/7 business. I really depend on my people to help me in all areas of my life. Trust me, I am as asymmetrical as they come, where I'm, really good on one end of the spectrum. I need a ton of support on the other areas. So, Justin and Chelsea are right now back at the office presenting 3 offers that came in this morning on various properties. Our CMO, Sean New, is handling a bunch of marketing initiatives with our marketing team. Sam Aticha, my personal assistant, is racing around. I mean, he's dropping off gifts. He's picking up dry cleaning. I have a flight later this evening. So, there's a lot of things happening to give me the next 48 hours while I'll be away, that space. But of course, always reachable by phone, to communicate as one person for a business that is growing what seems like every day is just, you can't do that. Just as, Jean-Georges doesn't cook every omelet in the restaurant that he owns, right? It's established on his principles. And when you go, you are receiving a dish that was composed by him, that was his technique under his roof with his methodology. That's how my team operates. When you're dealing with Justin, you're dealing with Daniel Heider. When you're dealing with Chelsea McCormick or Nicole Terry or Melanie Hayes or Jacqueline Mason, you're dealing with Daniel Heider. And I am fastidious and scrupulous and unrelenting about the type of people that I hire, how they conduct themselves, their response time on emails. So, it is a standard that is not for everyone, and it can be, it can be a lot, but nonetheless very, very necessary. So
what is your standard on response time? Is there like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
No, it's not so stringent in that way. It's just that, look, if a client has a question that they're asking, or if it's a new lead, right, we just need to prioritize them. Just as you go to the doctor, the doctor doesn't come racing out and say, oh my God, like I'm gonna be 5 minutes, right? Like, you're there to see a practitioner. You're there to see somebody who is a specialist. And sometimes you gotta wait in the waiting room. But when you're in, the office of that doctor, you have our full attention. And so that's the type of, business that we run.
I wanted to get to this one question because I thought this was really interesting. We recently were walking through a new construction house. You were walking, Jonathan Taylor and myself, through a new construction house here in DC, and you were discussing all the details of the quality of the construction, everything. You already knew the product very well. Obviously, you had studied everything that this builder had put in there. But you were saying that you are passing up on subpar product from builders because you don't need the headache, and I totally respect that and understand that. So can you tell us a little bit about those conversations? Because at this point in your career, you've done hundreds of transactions. You've dealt with a lot of new construction stuff, high-end builders. I'm using air quotes.
Yeah.
So how do you have those conversations if someone comes to you and says, Daniel, I've got a new house I just built in Bethesda, and I want you to come see it. We want to list it with you. And you're walking through, and you're like, ooh, this is like, it's not really, like you can already see where this is going to go as a listing or potentially after the listing.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I think the next level of my career has been rooted in being able to speak incredibly candorously and straightforward to my clients. Frankly, the volume of business that we do has given me more freedom to not sugarcoat anything. These are folks that are putting a huge amount of money and a huge mantle of trust in our care. A lot of times, you guys know, because you both have great brands, that these developers, they want to hitch their wagon to the established, tried and true, good agents that are going to signal to the market that what they have delivered to the market is Jonathan Taylor and Max Rabin worthy, is Rob and Brent Group worthy, is Heider worthy, right? And so I'm very careful about the folks that we kind of get in bed with to that end. And so I think really it comes down to just telling the truth. Listen. Putting shaker cabinets in and wanting to charge $5 million for a new construction house that doesn't have new windows, and maybe the flooring isn't up to par, or the systems haven't been upgraded in a way that is a standard in that market, and they want to receive a certain premium for that. That is a hoop dream. And so it's our job to be able to communicate that in not such a brutal way. I'm not walking in and telling these folks that their products are horrible and that it's a hoop dream that they get, but in other words, we are.
Yeah.
And so what I meant by telling you and Jonathan that those days have sailed away, I really meant it. We need to be known with quality. That's what we are known for. Our marketing is all about scrupulous attention to detail. It's about articulating a home in a way that is its highest iteration. And when I am physically at a showing, or any of my agents are at a showing, it's performance art. And so I can't do my best work when I have to showcase something that isn't what we're known for showcasing.
Yeah.
And I want to say that's not a snub to a lower price point, because there are incredibly built homes in the delta of pricing in Washington. Mm-hmm. We just want to be affiliated with the ones that are true quality and that the sellers are realistic about what the market expectations are going to be. And we don't price people's homes, right? Sometimes we take on a listing that is aggressively priced from a new developer, and we believe in pricing it aggressively, especially in a market where there's not a lot of inventory. But I think what has changed now, Max, is that if we're going to put an aspirational number on a home, we define with our sellers an amount of time that we are going to shop that around publicly. Mm-hmm. And then at that 3-month or that 6-month or that 30 days, depending on what market we're in, that's when we need to have an inflection point.
Yeah.
And so I think it really comes back to telling the truth, not being afraid to approach your client and to tell them what the reality of the market. So many agents are just, I think, hesitant to speak the truth to their clients. And if you're asking me, I mean, I hire, lawyers and advisors and marketing specialists and vendors who are going to tell me the truth. If I look ugly on camera, if I said something that this is not going to resonate, I'm waiting on you to tell me that, hey, I think what you just said was just not, I think we're going to scratch that. That's like it's like a friend who tells you that you have broccoli in your teeth. That's a real friend, by the way.
Right.
We have to be very attuned to those kind of details.
So to piggyback off of that, everything that I see you put out online is picture perfect. So you have an end user, just a regular seller, $2.5 million house, and name your neighborhood, DC. But they have kids, they've got a kitty litter box, they've got dogs, toys everywhere, and they don't want to move out. They don't want to really get it up and ready. Would you pass on that, or what advice do you give that seller, or I guess to that agent that can't get their?
But I've seen you bring resales along though. Like, I know it's a lot of work, but yeah, tell us. Yeah,
it's a tedious process. That's really where truth telling comes into fold. We believe that, especially in this market, that your first showing begins online, right? You're making a decision whether or not to call an agent and to show up physically to look and consider a property based on what you see, on the digital front. And if you're interested enough to show up in person, then those incredibly valuable 15 or 30 or 45 or time block of an hour is absolutely mission critical. And so what we interface with in that 15-minute interval or 30-minute interval has to be perfection. The place has to smell good. It has to resonate the value that they hope and dream about, because no matter what you're buying, everybody's looking to, get up to the next level. So it's the data that comes along with the conversation that you're giving. I just did a showing with you and Jonathan, right? I mean, how did you feel coming out of that? Did you feel well informed? Did you feel like I really knew what I was talking about?
This was the one on Foxhall?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
but really, I want to say I was really, really impressed with, they're both on Foxhall, but, we'll get to the Brett Baer house, but like the way that you presented that, it was like, it's like you had been performing this play for weeks on Broadway, and it was just like it just rolled off really fast.
I'm so glad that you said that because that is exactly how I think about getting ready for a showing. Mm-hmm. We are not showing up to a showing without a very, very detailed level of understanding of the most recent comps that have traded, the price per square foot, if we need to have that conversation, all of the nuances that make it special and make it stand out, all of the construction components. That's what people hire us to do. We are not the cheapest. I've had, of course, situations arise where I've given more of a discount to certain folks for very unique circumstances. But I'll tell you what, we're not cheap, and the process that we go through to bring these homes to market the way that we do is extraordinarily expensive. It is very expensive and it's costly, and not just a capital, perspective, but also in our manpower and our resources. And we say, there's the market standard and then there's our standard, and I'm looking to uphold my own standard, right? So,
okay, market standard, and your standard.
I will bring in. So to just kind of add to that, I'll bring in a professional organizer. And I'll pay for a consultation from that professional organizer and say, look, I just want you to know, I always start off with something that, is personal, right? Because it's easy for the real estate agent to come in and say, yeah, chop, get all this stuff out of here. We got a sale, right? We got to sell this. I would not present my home the way that it's currently set up for market, right? Buck's dog bed that's in the corner and all the fluffy, toys everywhere and, the plants everywhere, that's got to go, right? And so I just say, look, we have to reduce the personal footprint and we have to make it appear as a perfect dollhouse. You have to live like a mouse for the next, however many days it's going to take us to get this done. And I'm going to bring in an incredible resource that's going to print out the listing blueprint for you. She's going to tell you every single thing that you need to do. And it's up to you. If you'd like to hire her, she's $150 an hour. She's worth her weight in gold. For our clients who are busy, it's a really worthwhile endeavor to hire somebody like that. Yeah. And then I'll bring in a stager or a supplemental stager and pay for their time and pay for that listing blueprint so that they're not just getting it from me, they're getting it from 2 other professionals that have been deeply involved in positioning and listing homes in a way that elicit a reaction and are effectively sold, right? And we're talking about data points, right? When I come into a house to prove a point, we're talking about past examples that are very real. And we hope that frames sort of the opportunity for these folks. If folks don't want to do it, and there are certain situations where, for whatever reason, maybe we wouldn't be able to get the property into the condition that we had hoped. We do a lot of CGI. And also we talk about how, presentation is going to impact the price because everything sells if it's priced correctly. Everything, right? So when you're talking about someone's home, you're talking about the places they wake up every single day or they celebrate their kids' birthdays. I mean, it's like the most personal thing. It's got to be on point. You've got that 15 to 30 minutes to drive the value home.
Yeah. So, okay, speaking of lots of details with properties, you recently listed one of the most expensive or high-price listings in the D.C. area.
The most expensive, right?
Absolutely. Brett Bayer's house on Foxhall Road. This is a brand new house, pretty much.
Brand new. Built in 2022.
Yep. So I have a couple questions related to that. So how did you cultivate this relationship to procure the client?
Well, one of the, I think, tenets of our marketing has always been, and intentions has always been, to be everywhere, not in just print ads or on social media, but to be very present in the community, to be very active and to become a true advisor to the relationships that we currently have. Most of the people who have listed their properties with us or have purchased something with us, we have really close relationships with them. And so, what happened with, Brett and Amy is that they were seeing, us all over the community and hearing good things. And I don't think it was just one medium. Jacqueline Mason, who recently joined my team, I sold, as you know, her brother's beautiful condo. I met her, and she is friends with Amy, and she joined my team, and I think that was like just another sort of reassuring point that got them to give me a call. And look, it is very intentional. We are highly focused on serving the most nuanced and special and rare and expensive, of course, that's what kind of falls into that category. Not just because of course the good money that you make when you sell them, but because it is really exciting to me to romance a house like that. Mm-hmm. I interviewed every single person that touched that house. The landscape architect, Thomas Pheasant's office, Michael Banks, David Jones, the architect. We took pages and pages and pages and pages of notes. And this isn't something that's new. When I was first starting out, when I came over to Sotheby's about 7 years ago, we had listed a property that was on the market for a little over a year with another firm called the Corby Mansion in Chevy Chase, which was the most expensive sale in Chevy Chase history, still is. And I was shocked. I got a call from the seller who said, I want to talk to you about listing this house. I was in Greece at the time. I came back the next couple of days, and he was telling me about the history of the house. And it was being marketed as 9 Chevy Chase Circle. It's blunt address. Yeah. Not even the Corby Mansion. We went to the Library of Congress and researched for an entire afternoon everything about that house. We found historical photos. I wrote and wordsmithed that copy. We put it out there. I pumped that advertising. I was told by a lot of folks that we were crazy. It was listed at a very, very high number. It was very aspirational. And the very first person that we showed it to was the buyer. It's all on public record. I'm not going to say who it was, but you probably know. And that buyer fell in love with the story. That buyer loved the provenance. And so that level of detail is absolutely mandatory when you're working in a market of desire where people do not need to purchase anything.
Right.
Most of our clients don't need to purchase anything. They don't need to sell anything. It's purely rooted in whether or not they desire to purchase it. And my job is to facilitate that desire and to help them along and to make them feel really good about buying that beautiful, most expensive asset, right? I buy my clothes from a guy who is beyond passionate. I mean, his name is Giuseppe. He works at Giorgio Armani. You should absolutely go and see him. He's the best in the world. And he makes me feel so good about buying the most ridiculous things, okay? He talks to me about the full canvas of the suit and the way that it hangs, and he'll lay back and he'll say, "Oh, see, look at this, a full canvas." I mean, he's Italian, he's passionate, and he's like, drinking his espresso. And I have never felt so good about spending such an obnoxious amount of money on clothing in my life when I leave that store. And that is the art. That's the art of a great salesperson. And that cannot be understated. That's what we do really well.
So going back to the Bears really quickly, and if you care to answer or want to answer, they just completed this house. It took about 6 years to build the house?
3.
3 years,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it was an engineering marvel. They essentially built a road to truck in, hundreds of fully grown trees to make sure that the site was perfectly private. It's at the highest point in Washington. 300 tons of limestone was trucked in. The detail in every single corner of that house is sublime. It is not comparable to anything else,
right?
Except for one other house that I've been in, which is a very, very high-profile person whose home is not ever going to come on the market.
I think I know what you're talking about. So why are they like what they barely lived in there?
Well,
so.
like a lot of people, who are extraordinarily successful, as the Bayers are. Florida is a very attractive place for folks who are very successful, and so they decided in their process that they'd like to be in Florida. For their and they've talked about that publicly. So it's in the Wall Street Journal.
Yep.
And so they built this house. And I think lived in it for 8 months. It really presents as a brand new home.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why they've made that move. And I mean, it is. I'll just again, it is just truly extraordinary. And their taste is just unbelievable. And they're the nicest people.
It's a knockout. I mean, that the amenities level where it's got the basketball half court and the gym and everything. You feel like you're walking through the lobby of like one of the buildings on Billionaires Row, right? The amount of marble and the way the inlaid.
Yeah, great way to describe that. Great way to describe. And for me, it's even more impressive to be in that specific house because I did a lot of research on Mr. Bayer, and he was a bartender. This guy really did a lot to get where he is. And so to build a temple to his success in that way after being a bartender, that is a story that I love. So representing somebody like that, the true American dreams of the world, the people like that. And we have a lot of clients who, kind of started from nothing and really built incredible empires. It's just amazing. This guy is on the news every single night. He is a huge public figure, and he's got me representing him. So what an honor.
Guy's rock
what
solid.
An honor.
Yeah.
Just curious, was it an interview process? Were you the only one that interviewed, or was there a selection of other agents that came through?
I believe that the house was privately listed with a couple of other people. And I wasn't even privy to it, frankly. I didn't even know about it. And then I got a call one day, and it all changed.
So who calls? Like they call, or they have a representative calls you?
No. They're the most humble.
Yeah.
Like they're the most amazing people. I mean, and Amy has really done incredible work in the community. She's the chair of Children's National Hospital.
Yeah.
Their son Paul had some complications when he was a child, and Children's saved his life. So, I mean, these are not unreachable, folks. They're warm, and their outreach is always positive, and I'm excited to receive their calls.
So we see you on social media all over the world all the time. I think you said you're getting a flight today. Like we just saw you were at Adele in Vegas. We see you in a lot of places. So really quick question. Any tips for the would-be or constant travelers? I'm sure you know lots of this now because you're on a lot of planes. So any top tips that you want to share real quick?
I think having a good pair of noise-canceling earphones is an absolute necessity. I don't like the ones that cover my ear. I have them, but they get really hot. I just run hot in general. Big boy. I like the AirPod Pro, Max
Pro, whatever it is.
I don't know what's called. They're the ones that go in your ear, and they're short. They're not the long ones.
Yeah.
That's really important. Always having a fully charged laptop. I don't know about you, but I feel like I do some of my best work when I'm in flight or, in transit or on vacation. I have the best ideas. Not necessarily that vacation is the operable word here. I like to say that I travel. I haven't vacationed in a very long time because we work, right? I'm going this evening to San Francisco to a benefit that Trevor's cousin, who's a very famous interior designer, his name is Ken Folk. He's throwing a party, and we're going to a costume party. So we're dressed up as disco men. I am wearing platform shoes that are this big, which you will be seeing on the gram in the next couple of days. It's going to be a lot of fun, but noise canceling.
You flying commercial or private?
I fly commercial. Unless I'm traveling with some some folks that don't.
Wait, but no, that's the next level right there. The Heider plane, like literally with the Heider logo on the plane.
Your lips to God's ears. I swear to you, everybody watching, if that happens, they're going to be the first flight. You're going to be on the inaugural flight.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Accepted. So the traveling. I mean, we see you doing awesome stuff. But I know there's a lot of business involved too with a lot of these things. These are clients. These are friends. Why do you travel so much? It's very hard usually for most realtors to just get away.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't you're not full-fledged family guy at this point.
Yeah.
But so that keeps a lot of people also at home. But tell us why you travel so much and all the great things that come out of it.
Well, one of the best benefits of having an incredibly well-trained and capable team that I've spent more than a decade building brick by brick, person by person, process by process, is that I have full confidence in the folks that are running the show, boots on the ground. And the way that I see it, guys, is look, travel inspires me. I am literally my best self when I show up to a listing appointment having just seen Adele in Vegas. And these are quick trips, right? I'm not gone. I'm not going up, Bali, right? I mean, we're talking about, short little jaunts. One of the best parts of being alive, in my opinion, is being able to travel. And so why do we work so hard, right? I told you that I'm after freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
I love freedom. And frankly, to experience the world in the way that I'm so fortunate to be able to experience it really aligns a lot with that of the people who we serve. And it's a very small world, a very, very small world. I make the best of it. If I go to, Beverly Hills for a couple of days, I'm meeting with the best brokers in Beverly Hills. They want to have coffee. They want to have dinner. They want to have lunch. We're forging relationships. So many of the most incredible sales that I've ever been a part of have transpired because of the relationships that I have. It's not just a platform that you're on. You're hiring a broker and you're hiring their firm, you're hiring their team, you're hiring their processes, you're hiring their experience, and you're hiring their personal network. And so when I pick up the phone and call somebody who I know could be a good candidate that I maybe met in Beverly Hills, that's just another added benefit. And I also want to tell you that I really believe that I can travel and live my life and experience the wonders of the world and do exciting and extraordinary things and have an amazing business.
For sure.
And have an incredible personal life. I can do it all. And so, I think people who limit themselves by saying, well, I know it's perplexing because we don't see it a lot in our market. But what it comes down to is a belief system. I don't think that my clients look at me and say, well, who's paying attention to my listing? No, I don't. But I know a lot of people like to say that they can't relate. So I just when a VIP wants to see a property, we show it to them when they are available. So I cannot be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to physically show a property, but I have a unbelievable process in place with my team who is just as skilled as I am about presentation. And if any of you have worked with Melanie, if any of you have worked with Nikki or Jacqueline, you will feel that. This is not, just a bunch of hyperbole. This is real. So I feel good when I travel, and I do it often because I believe that it helps me present the best version of myself because I'm doing what I'm here to do, which is live my life.
Live your life,
and,
absolutely.
And
always
be happy.
We talked about this last time, and you're at the top of your game. You're very entertaining. People love to follow you on TikTok, Instagram, all the social media platforms. We mentioned last time, like keeping up with the Kardashians. I mean, have you given any more thought to like having your own show?
We have been approached by a number of different production studios. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding like ungrateful, or we don't need the attention, right? We have the attention. We own the channel, right? We have the avenue to promote in a way that
you're
reaches,
the source,
right?
Yeah.
So what's been really important to us is finding, a partner that would give us the producer rights to move forward, because I'm a producer, right? And so nobody is going to frame me and my business and my team in a way that's better than me. And, I'm not going to be the kind of broker that's going to be throwing white wine in someone's face and, making a clown of the opportunity that's given to us. If we do a show, it's going to be like a chef's table. It's going to be like this is how we handle the most sensitive clients in the world. And this is how we become effective agents and lead this team and go through the sausage making, as I said. I don't want it to be just glitz and glamour. And I think that our society is a little over the fake
drama.
So we're having some serious discussions. We've had serious discussions. It's, we're not, necessarily committed right now to one party or another, but there are ongoing conversations.
One other question. You mentioned that a lot of times maybe your competition is saying you're too busy or traveling. Again, you're at the top of your game. And even like in basketball, football, movie career, what have you, when you're at the top of your game, you're always going to have naysayers, right? They're going to try to tear you down. So when you see about it or hear about it, like, how do you handle some of the negative press that comes your way?
Well, here's the thing. The higher you go, the more visible you are, the more successful you are by nature, the more naysayers come out. And I like to say that their opinion really isn't any of my business. I have gone through enough egregious, situations in my professional career where, somebody is saying something or alluding to, look, at the end of the day, we let our work speak for itself. And there's no better example of the trust that's put in our hands than the listings that we have sold and that we are selling and the people that we are representing right now. I've found that the more successful clients that we interface with, the global CEOs, the real titans of industry, the real people that you would want to have a drink with, right? These are people who understand that, right? And when they hear something, they know that it's born out of jealousy, or it's born out of insecurity, or it's born out of their own self, doubt. I'm a very confident person. I believe in myself. And I look at my past, to inform where I'm going in the future. So, when I see or hear of somebody saying something that's belittling, I know exactly why that person is stuck exactly where they are. And I have to say, I feel truly, sorry that those specific folks just don't know their own power, because I do know mine. And, I like to think that is the locomotive for every single thing that happens in my life. So, I'll tell you, I am I have been, greatly underestimated, especially as a young guy, and being aspirational and ambitious and being an externalizer and vocalizing what I want and vocalizing what I want to do. And it's put it's put me out there for public fodder, and again, that's just none of my concern.
It comes with the territory. But I will also say that, like, in the same vein, that there's a lot of noise out there.
Sure.
And especially when you're involved with like real estate at the level that you're doing it, where there's a lot of media involved and people can see you, you're highly visible. The noise gets greater.
Sure.
And that's all there is to it. And it's you have to tune that out.
And
don't be part of it.
Absolutely. And truly that was one of the principles of us, buying a separate building in Georgetown. I am not going to ever be a part of the water cooler talk. Ever. I'm too busy. I'm making calls. The market is the market that I make. The things that are happening right now today, are extraordinary given what the stats look like. And I know that a lot of folks, who feel eclipsed in a way, by, I guess, my success has, stirred them up. Maybe they feel that they were deserving of a listing that I got. I mean, I have been in rooms where I have announced listings and literally seen the looks on folks' faces when I have announced that we had this coming up. And it's like...
It's happened to me. It's happened to me, like where he listed something and was like...
Right.
It happens all the time. I mean, within business.
Here's the thing, though. My message is... Look, when I was like an absolute nobody at 24 years old, the assistant working at WFP, where nobody knew my name. I mean, I was slanging steaks at night at Morton's, right? And I remember walking into that great big room, and that was when all the stars were under one roof. I mean, all of them. And I remember what it felt like to admire someone, to admire the people who were bringing on these extraordinary homes, and I never looked at them, and said well, he's only there because of his social media. Well, he's only there because, he knows these people. Like, I was like, that is amazing. Like, Nancy Taylor Bubis, wow, mind-blowing.
Yeah,
I mean, I would look at these people, Matt McCormick at that young age. Wow, he was lighting the world on fire. I mean, all of these agents, I was so excited just to be in the room. And I hope that people look at me and they're so excited to be in the room and they look at my success and they say, if he can do it, I can do it. Because that's what I did. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Right.
It's just a different, nothing's changed. I'm still the same person. It's just that the manifestations have occurred because I've believed in myself, and I believe in myself.
Well, you put the work in.
That's the truth.
No question.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
I guess we have to.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to come back to. We got 3 more questions on rapid fire.
Let's just go couple rapid fires, and then we'll.
All right.
Wrap it up. You'd rather have lunch with Martha Stewart or Taylor Swift?
Martha. I love Martha. She, to me, again, like, we're talking about somebody who, I always make comparisons to real estate, right? Like, Martha Stewart was was in finance, and then, started a catering business, and then that evolved into an unbelievable, multi-billion-dollar empire. I mean, she is as American dream as it gets. And she's, hardcore. I mean, she went to jail and she didn't rat out anyone, right? She's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll go serve my time. Yeah. And when I come out, I'm going to do it even bigger. Yeah. I think that she's fascinating. And I've had the pleasure of spending some quality time with Martha on a couple of occasions, most recently a couple weeks ago at her house in Bedford.
It's fantastic.
Last question here. Where are you going to eat for Thanksgiving?
Where am I going to eat? I'm going to my cousin Dominique's house. And I am going to eat my favorite Thanksgiving food, which is stuffing. As you can see, I've never missed an opportunity to eat stuffing. And yeah, my whole family will be there, and Trevor will be there, and Buck's sister Birdie will be there. I bought 4 Goldens, by the way.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So Buck's got some sisters, and 2 royal sisters, by the way, because the other 2 I gave to a client of mine who happens to be the ambassador from Bahrain to the United States, Sheikh Abdullah Al Khalifa, who's a very dear friend of mine, and those beautiful Goldens live on his beautiful estate in McLean.
Wow.
Okay.
So yeah.
Lucky dogs.
Royal.
Literally.
So I say I'm royal by by
by dog relation.
by my exactly
Yeah.
my relatives. But,
Daniel, thank you so much for coming down here and sharing time with us. We know you're a busy guy, and just fabulous stuff. And keep it up. And it's great seeing you around all the time.
Thank you for
Amazing
having
energy.
me.
Love it. Very
Thank you
passionate.
for having me. Thank you. You guys are the
Daniel.
best.
Thanks for listening to Keyed In with your hosts, Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. For more information on selling your home, find us online at keyedinpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to Keyed In on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Keyed In Podcast, at Rabin Max, and at Brent E. Jackson. And follow Max on TikTok at MaxwellRabin_properties.